Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. This is MacKerricher State Park, and this is kind of part 2 of a video series, I guess you'd call it. This is Lake Cleone right here. Right now we are walking from the Laguna Point area over to Lake Cleone, and we're passing under the trestle, not the trestle, but a bridge for Hall Road. And you can see the old timber there. It's obviously kind of rotted, but what's interesting is they had the weight of the train, so they had to do this middle support. So it's kind of a 2-laner. Obviously it was just a bicycle path. They wouldn't need to do that, but they do that to make it stronger. As I walk under it, I'll show you that. Very cool. Okay, so one of the things that's notable is over here you can see where the Hall Road ends. It's actually kind of knocked out. And it is my belief that what happened was, over to the right here is Lake Cleone. And when they originally built the Hall Road, they blocked it off. And Cleone Lake at high tide would have salt water infused to it, so it was a brackish lake. But once they built the Hall Road over it, they blocked it off. And so the salt water could no longer get in. And then I believe it was in 2014, they actually knocked this out. And I don't know if it was a bridge or just, I think it was just solid dirt. They just filled it in, sort of like a levee. And now you can see these pipes here go under this road here and allow the salt water to enter. And you can see the wheels there. And presumably with the wheels, they could regulate the amount of salt water that flows in there, but I'm not sure they're being used anymore. But there's a lake, and you can see it's definitely a sort of a marshy wildlife sanctuary. So they're trying to return that function to it. And also I should mention, you can see the parking lot over there. And then looking at the map, I believe that there is another boardwalk that goes around the marshy parts of the lake. So we'll check that out. All right, well here is an old boardwalk. It looks like it's in a state of decay. So that's not going to be something that we're going to try out. This was probably a pretty cool thing at one time. There's a little path that goes in here. It's really dicey. Oh my God, that's kind of sad. I would have liked to have done that. I am sorry to say I don't think we can explore the lake, so we'll just have to have a look from here. Well, we're not able to walk around the lake, so what I've done is I've got onto this old part of Hall Road, got the surf behind me, and then over this way is Cleone Lake. And I'm not even sure I'm saying it right. It's C-L-E-O-N-E, so it's Cleone or Cleone or Cleone. But anyway, that's the lake. So I'm going to do a little pan of the lake just to show you. And apparently it's been left for the birds. When I looked at the map, I noticed there's a trail around this side. And the funny thing is I'm on the trail now and it's totally overgrown. There are trees down and whatnot. So it's completely dicey. So I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm going to give this trail a try. The other thing I should mention is that I said this is part 2 of a 2-part series from MacKerricher. Wow, this trail is like really dicey. The last one I discovered and walked to the trestle, and this time we're going to try the north side of the park. And since I missed the opportunity to hike around the lake, I was going to give it another try, and this is just not going well. There's a lot of blackberries that are really stickery. Bottom line is I'm going to give up and then maybe walk around the lake to the campground, see if I can access it from another point. But these blackberry stickers are pretty nasty. It's funny because after my fail on the other side of the lake, I figured, oh, I just had the wrong trail, but clearly that's not the case. And there is kind of a trail back here, but it's really not worth trying to access. So let's walk around to the other part of the lake and see if I can do a little bit better. See some people on bikes over there. That's the Hall Road there. There's a couple of birds there up on the ridge. We're going to check that out later. And here's just another panorama of the lake in this morning mist. It's late September, almost October. Okay, before I give up on the lake thing, I popped out into what's called the Surfwood camp area. This is the first one they closed for the season, and so there's nobody here, but I'll just show you what it looks like. It's a nice campground, kind of on the smaller side. I'm going to walk around. The lake is just over there, over these bushes. And I'm just going to walk toward this end of the campground and just see if there's a way I can get through. Okay, so this is the main road in, and I've discovered a marked trail. So this may turn out to be a little bit better. We've kind of walked around the lake, partway around the lake, and then found this trail. And I think this probably goes into the other campground. I think it's called the Cleone Campground. You can see the nice light filtering through. There's some mist in the air, which makes it kind of nice here now. This is a much more realistic trail here. I feel like I'm actually on a trail instead of bushwhacking, so let's see where it goes. Okay, so this is actually just a short spur into the campground. You can see some folks camping there. Okay, so I just talked to a woman back there, kind of a ranger type, or maybe not a ranger, but some sort of worker here. And out of courtesy, I didn't film her, but she told me that all the trails around the lake are no longer available, and it's just a, budget issue. So they've not been able to maintain them. It'll be very costly to do so. So, okay, so here's a sign. If you look right here, it says trail. And I don't know what that means, but this is the one that she told me that I could try. Anyway, what I was saying is that she confirmed that the trails that go around the lake are closed, no longer in use. But she said if I walk down this path here, it's possible that I could have a view of the lake. So it's kind of too bad. Oh, she also mentioned that I think she said the last time she walked, it was like in 2018, which is like 6 or 7 years ago. So anyway, sad state of affairs, budget issue, not uncommon in California state parks. Okay, you can kind of see I've come to a little bit of a junction here, and that might be part of the old boardwalk. It says trail, but you can see it's really overgrown. We'll go down there in a minute, but I want to see where this one goes over here. That one kind of goes nowhere. This probably goes nowhere. It's just really overgrown in here, but maybe I can catch a glimpse in here. I'm not sure. Okay, so I think the lake is back in there. You can see there's an old building there and some sort of round drain thing. And the lake is, you can't see. I'm going to raise my camera up, but just barely can see the lake. That must be like some sort of pump house or something. So I'll try that place where it says trail. Okay, so this is the old boardwalk. And I'm willing to bet these boards are pretty rotten, so I'm going to tread lightly and towards the edge. Wow. Such a shame, isn't it? Completely overgrown. My God. This is really bad. I'm going to go for a little bit more and see what happens. Looks like it might open up a little bit ahead of me, but we'll see. This is obviously a hazard because of the rotten wood, but there's no signs that say keep out or anything like that. It's actually got a little bit better there for a while. Now it gets bad again. I don't think there's any view of the lake. This feels like almost more of an exploration of an abandonment than it does an actual lake hike. Now again, the lake is right beyond those trees through there, but we can't see it. This is going to be one of those things where silly things where you end up keep going because you don't want to turn back, but it just looks like it's terrible. Sorry to announce, folks, this is what it looks like. I think I've got to pack it in, cut my losses, and head back. So I guess the only place you can really see Lake Cleone is from the drainage out to the ocean there. I mean, if the boardwalk was in okay condition, it wouldn't be that big of a deal to just do the brush clearance, but I think since the boardwalk probably isn't to code anymore, that they're not going to allow that to happen. So they're just kind of letting it go. Okay, that was the Cleone campground I was just at a minute ago, and that sign over there says closed for the season. Here's a sign about the park. Okay, so from what I can tell, there are 3 or 4 campgrounds, depending on how you look at it. There's the Surfwood, which was the first one we went to. That last one was the Cleone, and then there's the East and West Pine, which you could look at as 2 different ones. But only the East and West Pine are open right now in late September. The other ones are closed for the season. And I'm walking back along the entry road. I was on the road, but then I saw this trail, so you don't have to hike along the road if you don't want to. And I definitely don't want to. So what we're going to do now is head over toward Hall Road, which is the northern end of the road we were on the last hike we did, which was down to the railroad trestle, which was very cool. And this northern area, from what I understand, it's more of just a long beach versus the rocky cliffs. Okay, so right here we cross. This is the entrance to the East and West Pine campground. There's the main road in, and this is a trail that I'm on. Horses are allowed, bikes are not allowed. Okay, so now you can see where I am. That's Lake Cleone over there, just to the left of those cars. And over there where the other cars are, that's where the boardwalk is that goes out to the observatories and whatnot. You can see where the beach is. Okay, I see what's going on here. This is the old Hall Road, and the thing I was on is just a connector. And you can see where the road ends there. And now I know what those poles are for. Apparently those were maybe part of the trestle that held up the road or shored it up. But if you look way over there in the distance, you can see those kind of K-rail things. where the guy on the bicycle is going by. That's where this road picks up again, and this area here is just completely washed out. So that's why you have to take this detour around it, and then we get back on the old Hall Road right here. So we're more on the beach, which is obviously much better. This is gorgeous. Okay, there's the Hall Road once again. There's a sign here. I think December through April, there are a lot of seals and I think gray whales out here. So it's a major whale watching area. But it's late September right now, so we're a little bit early for that. Hall Road over here, bikes are allowed. Oopsie. That's the best way to travel this stretch, because it's kind of a long hike. On a bike, you can just knock it out. You can always stop your bike and walk out to the ocean here, get views. In fact, as I look at the ground here, I don't think you're supposed to, but you can see there's bike tracks along here. So people have just taken a little detour on their bikes and ridden out here, which makes perfect sense to me. From over there, I thought it was just going to be all beach, but it is kind of rocky here. It's actually really pretty, so I think I'll just walk along the beach. My plan was to walk out the road and return on the beach, but I might do it backwards. I was just too tempted to head for the beach because it's so nice. Okay, I just found another track here, and it looks like this one heads down to the beach probably, maybe. The tide is high right now, so I'm not sure how much walking along the beach there's going to be, but I'm going to give it a try. It's nice to be down here. The audio is probably going to suffer a little bit, but that's how it goes. I'm down on the beach now. I'm off the soft stuff and onto the firmer stuff. I think high tide was 20 minutes ago, so I can probably safely walk along the upper part of the wet without too much risk of getting bowled over by a sneaker wave. All right, so the walk along the beach has turned out to be quite wonderful. It's really easy going here. You stay on the kind of wet stuff. So I recommend that versus being up on the trail. In fact, I might even walk back this way because, you know, the trail's faster. This is way nicer. Just a beautiful hike along the beach. All right, folks, I think this is about as far as I'm going to go to the north. The entire length of MacKerricher State Park is 9 miles. And then this area up here is called, I think it's called Fen 10 Beach or something like that. And this continues for a ways, and you can see that over there it turns to more rocky again versus this part where it's pretty good walking along here. But rather than going farther and then feeling like I have to come back on Hall Road, I think I'd rather walk back on the beach just because it's more interesting. Okay, this section right here is the place I think where Hall Road is washed out. And I assume that these structures, which look like they're rusted metal, were once holding up the levee or berm, as it were, that housed the road. And remember, this was a railroad track and used to carry heavy steam engines with loads of huge logs on them, so they had to be pretty strong. And this is where the old road kind of ends. Well, it ends back by the pavement there, but it's still high up. And in the old days, there was a bridge across here. And you see those big logs there, they probably are part of holding it up. There's some broken off pavement right there at the base there, and then obviously some cones to keep you from crossing. There's some more cyclists traveling along the road, having a jolly good time. We are going to check out one of the campgrounds. There's a east and a west loop, And I think I'm going to check out the west loop because that's closer to the water. I don't know if it's any better. This is one way. There's the camp host. And it's one way, so I don't know. That's kind of where I want to go, but it may be that that one is closed. So only this one is open, so you can get an idea what it's like. Clearly it's in the trees. Looks like there's a couple of sites available. I went online and it said there were no sites available, but when I went through the entrance gate and I talked with the ranger, she said there would probably be no problem getting me a site. And that makes sense because we're after checkout now and there are a ton of empty sites. Wow, this is a pretty big loop. As I mentioned before, I stopped by the side of the road and it was a beautiful site, and then I thought, well, maybe I could camp here because it kind of looked like people had been camping. And then there was a guy kind of leaving, and I asked him, I asked him the wrong question. I asked him, did you camp here last night? And he didn't want to admit to any wrongdoing. So he just looked at me kind of funny, and I said, let me put that another way. Do you think I could get away with camping here? And he said, oh yeah, sure, no problem. I camped here last night. I've camped here many times before. He's gotten away with it without any problem. Here's a little bit more open area here. If you need some solar, this might be a better spot here, like where that black van is parked. That's a pretty good spot. And the one right next to it is also pretty good. That's 102. It's 101 and 102, I think, or 100 and 102. Now we're back in the trees again. Just depends what you want. The ones in the trees are not bad if it's warm, but a lot of empty sites. So I think I'm going to head out. So that's our tour of the campground. So this kind of covers the northern part of the park. I'd like to thank you for coming along. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. That helps me out a lot. And until next time, thanks for watching.